I've been a therapist for over 30 years. I've trained leaders around the world. But my greatest joy is to help people on their journey. That's why I'm here today. Hey, I'm Paul Marc Goulet, and this is The Journey. Today's interview is with a guy that's not only my close friend, he's famous. He's like really famous. His name is Banning Liebscher, and he started something small called Jesus Culture. I'm not even gonna try to sing their songs because I'm gonna totally ruin this program. But I'll tell you what, I love this guy. I remember back when in Bethel, way in this place called Redding, California, he was sitting on his little Apple laptop, and oh my goodness, he's just a normal guy that now he's speaking in front of thousands and thousands every single week. He's a stinking rock star. But first, you know what I want to do? We're going to have a lot of fun because that's my secret sauce to life. I got to have some fun. Let's go check it out.
My mom, she's an amazing woman.
Wow.
And she worked her butt off. She still works her butt off. And she came to this country with 3 bags and just herself and 3 kids, you know? When I first came to the US, right? My car was a shopping cart. I used to be taken to school. My mom, I have an older brother and a younger sister, and I remember we enjoyed it, you know, and I'm sure my mom didn't feel too well about it, but I mean, you could imagine.
Your car was a shopping cart?
Yeah, so my mom...
No, what store?
Instead of... Well, I'm not sure. I don't remember that detailed, but I remember my mom taking us to school in, you know, a shopping cart.
Oh, hey gang, I'm here on the chairlift lessons with Pacindu and our buddy Steve. And Pacindu, one thing I like about you is you started investing young.
Yeah.
And you saved up your money, you worked your tail off. Because I talk a lot about health, but this is about financial health. If
Absolutely.
you start investing at an early age, tell them what you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm working as a property manager and as an agent, but...
You owned your first house at 21.
Yeah, I think being financially successful or, you know, in that state where money isn't on your shoulders, that's the main thing about life. You gotta research, you gotta learn. Learning is the biggest, you know, thing that'll push you forward.
We've got to get off the lift or else we're going to have an accident.
Let's do it.
Welcome to The Journey. I'm Paul Marc Goulet, and I'm thrilled to be with you. My goal in life right now, because I'm getting a little bit older, is I want to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. I want to help you kind of discover the power. I want you to discover life. I want you to defeat the enemies of your life. I want you to live that amazing, the amazing destiny. That's my dream, because it comes to a point in life where you're going to have to start thinking about others, and you're going to have to start thinking about how you can pour into other people. And that's really where I am right now. So that's why we're doing The Journey. And today we're going to be talking about insecurities. I tell you what, on this journey of life, you can't just think about that goal. I want to be a VP or I want to own my own company. It's not the destinations, it's the process. And in the process, guess what's going to happen? You're going to face some insecurities. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of punishment. So today, I brought a friend who's become like a superstar. He's just like amazing. Everybody knows who he is. But you know, there's a story behind it. And we're going to find out about how he overcame insecurities. His name is Banning Liebscher. Bam.
Oh, come on. It's great to be here, Paul. Anytime you make a Star Wars reference, I'm in.
Okay, good.
I'm in.
All right, Banning. There's some people that might not know you out there. I know you. I know you're famous. But listen.
Not some people, a lot of people won't know who I am.
Well, okay, but you're the founder of Jesus Culture.
My claim to fame is everybody loves Kim Walker Smith or
Yeah.
Chris Kilala. My only claim to fame is I'm their pastor. That's it. That's all.
Well, and you're
So
the founder, though.
They would know me as, yes.
I mean, did you get an idea, like in your bedroom, going, I'm going to start a rock band that sings Christian songs around the world, and they're going to become famous, and they're going to be a studio and in theaters and everywhere?
You know, it's interesting because a lot of people will ask, as I get older now and as Jesus culture is more established, is this what you thought it would be? And did you see this? And are you surprised by it? And it's interesting because I'm not surprised, but I would have not imagined how it happened. So when I was 17 and I like something really came alive in me where I want to change the world.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I want to change the world, and I would read books about people who would change the world, and something would come alive in me. So I've always had a sense that I want to make a difference. I want to make a mark in the earth. I want to do great things for God. I want to change the world. But how it happened, that's the part that, like, I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to peg this. I wouldn't have been able to go like, well, it's going to be worship that takes us around the world. It's going to be this. So it's an intriguing thing. I've always had a sense of what I felt God had called me to. How it's manifested and worked out, that's the part where I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
Okay, so I know obviously you're in stadiums now, and it's big money. It's
more
big
mid-sized
risks.
theaters.
No. I was in a stadium with you.
You were.
So listen, okay, so but have you ever been afraid? I mean, don't you get insecure sometimes? And I mean, was there any like battles of fear that I had to overcome so I could try something new or risk financially?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think insecurity, you would know this as well as I would. We work with a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
Hands down, some of the most high-performing, some of the most successful leaders are some of the most insecure leaders.
True.
They're just insecure, and I would deal with it myself, like just the insecurity of, am I okay if I don't have a version of success? Am I okay if not everybody knows who I am? Am I okay if it's just mediocre? And we're driven by a need for significance.
Yeah.
We're driven by a need to know, like, do I really have what it takes? And we all want acceptance too.
And you do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I want leaders to accept me. I want people to accept me. I don't want to be mediocre in life. And so those insecurities are in there. They're in leaders, they're in people.
Are you afraid of failing?
I'm afraid of being mediocre.
Are you serious? Are you afraid of being rejected?
I'm afraid of not measuring up.
Wow.
I'm afraid of being mediocre. I'm afraid of my life matched up. I mean, these are the unhealthy fears that I work through. I'm afraid of my life matched up with somebody else's life and me just not being as good.
Are you competitive?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
So, you know, and nowadays with social media and all this, it just feeds more that insecurity.
Doesn't it?
Because I can just get online and see that everybody else is doing better than I am, that everybody else is more successful as I am. I know my frailties. I know my weaknesses. I know the numbers of our last conference. I don't know the numbers of your conference, but I can see on social media, it sure looks amazing.
Yeah.
It sure looks big. So that competitive thing, that insecurity thing, that need for significance, that somehow not being okay with just who I am and being faithful and what God's called me to, that thing is in there. And I think we have to recognize it, because if we don't recognize it and deal with it, we're just driven by it.
So have you ever failed?
In life?
Yeah.
Like today or yes.
No. Okay, tell me, what's your greatest failure?
Well, so I probably wouldn't call it a failure.
Okay.
You know, I mean, obviously there's sin that we struggle with.
Yeah.
So, which I don't know if that's what we're talking about here. Are we talking about my sin right now?
No.
I know we're not.
I'd like to.
I know.
And sin means missing the mark.
Yes.
So people don't know what sin means. It means literally you just miss the mark.
Yes.
There's a good and you get off base. So,
but when it comes to going after things, you know, we in 2011 we went to Chicago. Had 14,000 come to Allstate Arena and had this incredible thing. But then we went the next year to another arena.
Right.
And, you know, we had a 13,000 seater, had 5,000 people come.
No.
The whole top is empty. The whole bottom wasn't even full. Lost a ton of money. In one summer with two conferences in one, I mean, lost a ton of money.
How much did you lose? Just for people watching right now.
In one summer?
Yeah.
600,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Did you feel bad?
Did I feel bad? Yeah, you just are. We have a fear of peaking as well. So you just think like, is
You
this
have a fear
it?
of peeking?
Yeah, like, is
Like
this
peeking
it?
behind a door? Or?
No, peaking. Like this is it. I've reached the pinnacle and it's all downhill from
You
here.
have a fear of peaking? Really? That somehow it's downhill from now on?
Well, so these are what it's like a counseling session. This is what comes out is, if you're gonna make a difference in the world, you have to take risks.
Yeah. Ooh.
But if you take risks, there is the possibility that it doesn't work out like you thought.
Right.
The money didn't come in like you thought. Nothing's guaranteed. People may not show up. People may not buy it. People may not whatever. And so, you have successes, or what we would call successes, and then you go again, and then, wow, it didn't work out like you thought.
Yeah.
And
so what's your measurement, though, of success? Is it the crowd? Is
my
it the
measurements of success now
Yeah.
would be completely based around God.
Really?
So my measurement of success is, was I faithful and obedient? Did I do what God asked me to do?
So in that
and did I love well?
Ooh.
I would say right now, did I do what God told me to do, and did I love well? So my measurement of success, it's options that pop up on a screen, right?
Right.
I can choose what are my two.
can.
Yeah. But the one that I try to choose is just that. Did I love well, and did I do what he asked? Did I do what God asked me to do? So if not a lot of people show up to an event, it doesn't define me. Insecurities around that thing, right? Like, what defines me?
Yeah.
Am I defined by how many people show up? Am I defined by whether or not we made money? Am I defined by how many people know me? Or am I defined by God looking at me and saying, I'm proud of you as my son. I love you. You did what I asked you to do.
But you can count numbers, and you can count money, and you can see crowds. But how do you know if God's happy?
He tells me.
Okay.
I mean,
but that's a good answer.
Many different people that maybe are watching right now, they grew up in church, didn't grow up in church, have a relationship with God, don't. We absolutely believe that God speaks to us. He speaks to us through his word, but he speaks to us in relationship too. I absolutely believe that God speaks to us. Now, for some people that may seem natural, others that may seem weird.
Sounds weird, yeah.
They're like, are you saying that God speaks to you? But as Christians, we absolutely believe that God is a father who walks with us in an intimate relationship and speaks with us. So, God defines success differently. We have, as pastors, we'll preach on Sundays, and we love to preach and influence people, and there's an exhilaration around that. But so we did like 3 services on a Sunday morning. I preached. They were all good. Numbers were great. But in between one of the services, I was out talking with a lady, and she had been dealing with social anxiety and was struggling around some stuff. And I just sat for a few minutes and loved on her, encouraged her, walked her back to some of the people I know and said, hey, can you guys connect? When I drove home that day, what I felt God most pleased with was not my preaching, was not the people that came, was what God, was not the stuff that looks great on Instagram.
Yeah.
What God was most pleased with was the way that I stopped and just loved on that lady.
But you weren't always there, right? Was there a point where it was more like the numbers? And now I agree with you. I think it's great. So your measurements change of what you value. Is that right?
Yeah, if you don't change the measurement, insecurities puts you on a roller coaster.
Bam.
It's just flat out. If I have insecurities that are driving me, I am on a roller coaster.
Now, I had a pastor friend, and he had it was a great church, thousands of people coming. And I go, hey, how you doing? Oh, not very good. I go, what's wrong? He goes, well, 30 people didn't show up today, or 100 or 300, because he's counting every week, right? And I go, and? He goes, well, I must be failing.
Yes.
I said, well, could it be? Did you call all 300 and they told you, I'm not coming because you stink?
Yeah.
Or I'm not coming because I don't like you anymore, or you're a failure? Well, of course I didn't do that. I said, well, how do you know maybe there wasn't a death, or they were shopping, or they're watching reruns on TV, or they got busy with their kids, or they're sick or something? So
I think our identity, insecurity for me is this. My identity is in the wrong place. So my identity is not found in God and what he thinks about me.
Yeah,
my identity is attached to something else.
Whoa.
So in order for me to be secure in who I am, it's not just what God thinks about me. It's what God thinks about me and I need a certain amount of numbers.
Yeah.
I need a certain amount of likes.
Right.
I need a certain amount of people to buy my book. I need a whatever. So whenever I am in that mode where people leaving are affecting my identity,
Yeah.
I have to stop and go, my identity is not fully found in what God thinks about me then,
Wow.
and it's got to be there. Because if my identity is in God and what he thinks about me, then you can lose a job or have a job, make money, not make money, have people show up, not show up, and none of that is what is defining who I am. And I think that that's with the insecurity. Who I am is connected to something I'm doing. Who I am is connected to what people say about me. That all changes.
Right.
You can do the exact same thing one week and it's a different result the next
Absolutely.
week. You can have some people that love you one week and hate you the next week. My identity can't be connected to that. My identity is connected to what he thinks about me. That's why our job, my whole job is I just want to connect people to God. I just want them to know who they are in Christ, in God.
Yeah.
And they'll be secure.
Okay. And I'm totally with you on that one. So let's look at something again. You said that you're afraid of peaking. Where do you think that fear comes from?
Oh, I think it comes from me not feeling like I'm enough without some external version of success. That somehow, if there wasn't some worldly version or external measure of success, that I'm just not enough. Am I enough?
Yeah, like sometime in your life, you start going the opposite direction because you're growing now and you're popular and you're on social networking. You know, you talked about social networking. Yeah. It's not reality because on Instagram, I put like I have a six-pack and I just kind of Photoshop it and put it there and go like this and people think I'm special.
Totally.
It's all filtered, right? Because I don't really have a six-pack anymore.
Yeah.
So, so you're thinking at one point maybe you get here and then it's going to go down.
But because I think because we have a wrong version of success.
Yeah. You battle with that.
Yeah, we're driven by a wrong. When I'm driven by a wrong version of success.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we ever really do peak.
Yeah.
When it comes to God.
Right.
It's just continued success. It just looks different than.
Exactly.
It might be investment that I'm making in the lives of people. It might be whatever it is. But yeah, so insecurity for me is rooted in whenever I have a wrong version of success, or whenever I need something else to make me feel good about myself.
Right.
Then insecurities will be the thing that drives me.
So the fear of peaking is no longer an issue anymore.
It's not an issue because
that'll be $55.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, now
only 55. That's actually a deal.
I know.
Is that a friend deal?
Well, no, it's
been
a
a
friend
while
deal
because they're charging more than that.
Well, you know, I used to be a therapist, and
it's not $55 anymore.
No, it isn't. All right, I want you to talk to the people out there, if you would, and what can they do to overcome their insecurities? Because they're afraid of failure, they're afraid of rejection, they're afraid of being punished by others. How can they overcome that?
Well, I think ultimately, if we're talking to people that are watching right now, the only way to overcome is to know what God thinks about you.
And how do we know that?
Well, I think the Bible tells us.
Yeah.
I think a relationship with God, this is the amazing thing about God, is you can have a relationship with him. But the Bible tells us what he thinks about us. And I think so many people are spending their entire lives trying to prove themselves, trying to gain acceptance when they're already fully accepted by the one who created them and made them. And so I think the only way to overcome insecurity is to know what God thinks about you. That's it. And that even when maybe worldly versions of success are no longer happening, that God looks at me and says, I'm so proud of you. I love you. You are worth it. Yeah. You know, and that I think it's the only thing.
I just found his secret sauce. I'm going to package it. Yes. I'm going to sell it at Starbucks.
Hey, as long as I get royalties, I'm fine with whatever you do.
Gang, I hope you like this. Listen, if you go to that link, you'll be able to get more of this stuff. And of course, you know where to find him. Look for Jesus Culture. You're going to find Banning. He's actually got a great church in Sacramento. Tell him about your church.
Yeah, we started church in 2014 and having a blast. It's been amazing. We just have a heart to impact the city, have a heart for people to find community. And my passion is to come alongside people and see them fully alive and fully engaged. I want to see them fully alive in their life, and I want to see them fully engaged in what's on their heart. So
If I lived in Sacramento, I would go to his church because he's so stinking cool. When I get older, I want to be as cool as he is. I hope you enjoy it. See you next time. Hey, I've trained people in churches and in businesses, and I'm always looking for good curriculum. And I couldn't find anything really about how to be a healthy believer. You know, I've seen a lot of Christians that weren't too healthy emotionally and spiritually and relationally. So I actually wrote a brand new series called the Healthy Believer Series. And they're 4 weeks a piece. Bam, you start working on this. You can implement it in your church or your business, small group Bible studies or in home cells. So I want to encourage you to order the series. It will start empowering you to empower others to become healthy believers. Hey, wasn't that powerful with Banning? Let's unpack this concept of insecurities. Insecurity is really fear of failure, fear of punishment, fear of rejection, fear of loss. And then we get into that fight or flight syndrome. And insecurity used to be my number one problem in my life. I was very, very insecure. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted things to go well. Even perfectionists, you're like that too. You want everything to go your way, and you're afraid that it won't go your way. Or you're afraid that they're not going to like the gift you give them. Or if you're afraid that they won't like the dress. You're afraid they're not going to say yes for the date. You're afraid. Those are all insecurities. A lot of us struggle with these fears that actually become like strongholds of insecurity. And then we walk into a room, we feel insecure or self-conscious. I'll never forget, I was walking into a big board meeting. I was invited to be part of this massive worldwide board. And I walked, and that morning I was in the hotel room, and I had this large zit on the tip of my nose. I'm not kidding. I must have eaten too much chocolate or something. But I'm thinking, oh no, my first meeting. I had this super cool vest on. It was like I was dressed, yeah, cool. But I had this big zit in my nose. And I felt so insecure. I mean, here are these, I was the youngest guy in the room, and I knew that it was a new opportunity. So I was terribly afraid of being rejected, basically. And so I get in there, and I thought, I'm going to overcome that insecurity. I'm going to overcome that fear. So we're in this massive discussion and big investments and stuff. I go, lift up my hand. Yes, Mr. Goulet. What would you like to say? I said, well, first of all, I'd like to point out to everybody that I have a big zit on my nose. All right? It's not my fault. Can we get past it? All right. Now, here's my input. Everybody's laughing by now. So everybody's laughing. Their hands are down. I laughed at myself. If we take ourselves too seriously, if we're trying to please everyone, if we're afraid of failing, we'll never risk. We'll never ask that gal out for a date. We'll never commit to a deep relationship. Insecurities, what a crippler. We only have one life to live. Why don't you live it to the fullest? So if you're watching today and thinking, I got some fears, I've got some insecurity, it goes right back to fear. It's time for you to reject that fear. It's time for you to get back on that horse. It's time for you to say, God, give me the courage to live a fearless life. I love you guys. I hope that helps you. This man is at the top of the world right now because he saw challenges and insecurities as a chance of progress. I think we should all interpret life that way. God forgives us all of our sins. And how do you forgive yourself? And how do you deal with shame? What a phenomenal question. And you know what? You're right. God does forgive you. He's put all of your sins, and the word sin means missing the mark. We've all missed the mark, which means we've all made mistakes. Not just the big 10 bad ones or the big venial sins. We've all messed up. So what we have to understand is that if God has put all of our mistakes, all of our sins in the sea of forgetfulness to remember no more, why do we remember it? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's because you got a memory and you actually never forget anything. It's all filed in your hard drive, right in your brain there. So you've made mistakes, and although God's put it in the sea of forgetfulness, you don't have that sea, do you? You and I remember stuff, and then we beat ourselves up because we made that mistake, and then we feel shame. We know deep down that God forgives us, But for some reason, we can't forgive ourselves. Why? Because we can't forget. And so what we have to do, I want to just give you one simple step. We begin to say, I forgive myself in Jesus' name. We're going to do something that's impossible to do, and that's to forgive ourselves. But we do it in the authority of our Christian faith. Now, if you're not a Christian watching today, it's going to be hard for you to forgive yourself if you don't have a relationship with Christ. Because my forgiveness is based on what he did for me. He paid the debt he did not owe. I owed a debt I could not pay, right? So a Christian forgiving themselves should be much, much easier. Why? Because we've got something to base it on. Now, if you're a non-Christian or you haven't discovered the beauty of Christ, hey, try it. Just say, I forgive myself. And at least get the process going. The other part of that is your words never stop. Your words are powerful. They give life and they give death. So when you're dealing with that shame and you realize deep down that you know theologically that God forgave you, but you didn't forgive yourself, you are not forgiving yourself because it's hard to forget. And we tend to beat ourselves up, maybe like we were beaten up in the past. Here's my last component. A lot of times I've discovered in people's lives is that our parents set up a ruler, or our primary caregivers set up a ruler for our value. Whether we feel good about ourselves, we're a bad little boy or a bad little girl, or we feel good about ourselves. And that same ruler we brought into our adulthood. So even after our parents maybe even die, we tend to do the same thing that they did. We beat ourselves up. It's unforgivable. So I want to throw that challenge out to you. It's time to break generational lies. Your shame comes from a deep place, and you can start rejecting it, but say it out loud. God, forgive me. Number 2, I forgive myself. Number 3, I forgive everyone else. God, heal me. Heal my brain. And he has the power to do it. Hey gang, I hope this program, The Journey, is really helping you. We're turning a moment into real momentum. How do you do that? Well, become a partner. Support us monthly. Support us in prayer. Become part of our team. And what's going to happen? There's going to be tons of benefits that are going to come your way, and then we're going to change the world. So go to your screen right now and become a partner in the journey. Hey gang, I'm so thrilled that you spent time with us on The Journey and time with Banning and unwrapping the concept of insecurity. Remember, we're all on a journey. And we're going to go through insecurities and fears. My prayer for you is that you overcome those fears and you live a vibrant life with fear and joy and conquering and extravagance and risk and failure and rejection and love. I'll tell you what, that's the real life. That's the life I want to live. I want to live a life that at the end I can go, man, I gave it all. I didn't let fear cripple me. I confronted my fears, and I loved other people. Isn't that one of the greatest fears of all, is loving people? Because rejection is such a big issue in our world, and the world tends to be really cruel. I want to throw out this challenge to you. Choose a life of love, and therefore you'll conquer your insecurities. See you next time on The Journey.